Hi friends, it's Charlene from stampinwithcharlene.com. It's Tuesday, October 12th, 2021, and welcome to tonight's almost live Stamping with Charlene. It sounds like my cat wants to be a part of this, if you can hear him meowing in the background. I don't really have a fancy name for this week's card. YouTube wants me to come up with a name so that I can put in all these keywords so that when people do a Google search, they'll be able to find my video and my website. I don't know what to call it. I wanted to make this card. I wanted to use the stitched leaves dies because there's so many different things that you can do with them. So I made one card with all the ways you can use them. And I figured that would be the best way to show you how to do it. Excuse me. I just don't know what to call it. So it's a stitched leaf die card. How to use dies to make a card. How to make a card in under 5 minutes that uses your dies. I don't know. Let's think of a name. How about let's make a really fun and easy card? Okay, let's get started. Let's take a look up close at the stitched leaves dies. You will see that there's just so many different things that you can do with these. So I just wanted to take a week and explain the different things. This piece here gives a really nice, it's like a cutout. If you can see, there's just like little grooves on there that stick up. So it kind of embosses, but instead of leaving just a plain impression, it leaves little cutouts. And then for the leaves, each leaf has an outline that cuts and leaves a stitching around it, but the stitching that it leaves around it isn't on the cutout leaf. It is on the paper. So if you look at this, this is the paper, and you can use this piece on your card, which is what we're going to do on the sample tonight. And then you can also just use this inside piece, which gives the cutout on the paper like this one does. So let's just go ahead and make the card, and then you'll see what in the world I'm talking about. Here's a close-up of the card, and you'll see that I have different layers here. So this is our bumblebee cardstock, and the first layer here has that long piece that looks like the cityscape. And then this is where I use both the cutout with the leaf, and then this is the leaf without the cutout around it. It's so confusing, so how about if I just stop talking and make the card, and then you'll see how it all goes together. If you're gonna use our new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which you can see here in the camera frame, for all of this cutting, you're gonna wanna use the number 1 plate, and then the number 2 plate, and then you're gonna put down the number 3 plate. You'll put down your cardstock, your die, and then finish it off with the number 3 plate. So to get started, this is our card base. We have our regular 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I am going to use this piece here just to create a dimension along this layer of the card. So I'm just going to put this up there like that. Now this piece is 4 by 5 1/4, and you'll see that it doesn't fit the whole way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up there at the end, and I'll run this through, and I'm going to run it through twice so that the image takes up the whole length of the card. So I'll just run it through once, and then we'll come back over here. And I'm gonna just slide this down so that I can also get the image here on the bottom. So it takes up the whole length of this layer. And then I'll run this through again. And this is the first layer of the card. So can you see that there? So it doesn't cut all the way through the paper, but it just leaves a nice embossing a stitched embossing look. So I'm just going to take this piece and I'm going to attach it to my card base. Just with some regular adhesive, I'm going to attach it right down there like that. So that is the first layer, and that is how you use that piece from the Stitch Leaves dies. For the next layer, I am going to take a piece of the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper, and then a piece of the white crinkle seam binding ribbon, and I'm going to tie a bow on the side of this. Let me just scoot the embossing machine out of the way. So I'm just going to tie a bow over here on the side. The colors in this paper are gorgeous, which if you watched last week's card class in the mail for the month of October, you saw all the different colors and the different color combinations and how pretty it is. So let me just tie my bow on the side, and then I'll trim off the end there because of course I made it a little too long. And then I'm gonna adhere this to that card base. So you'll see that the stitching that I just embossed adds some dimension to the card because it peeks out here on the side. Now I'm going to work on this piece here. So this is another piece of Bumblebee cardstock. And what I'm going to do is from my dies, I'm going to take this narrow leaf, both pieces, both the outside one that's going to cut it and then the inside one that's going to leave the stitching on the leaf. And let's bring in our Stampin' Cut Emboss machine again. And now I'm going to lay it down right there in the center like that. And you can make this any size you want and use whatever leaf you want. But I kind of like this one. I think it's interesting. So I'm going to put it there like that and then run this through. So this is a great die set because you can use both the positive and the negative of what you cut out. So this is what comes out of there. There's the leaf that this piece made with all the little stitching in it. But then there's also this piece, which is the piece of cardstock. And if you look closely, this die here has the stitching around it, so it has beautiful stitching. So you can just throw this away, but why would you when it's so beautiful? And you can just put it on your card. So let's go back to our card. We'll move this out of the way. I think we're done using our Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. So now I'm just going to adhere this to the card with my regular adhesive. So I'm going to put this right there up close to the bow, just like that. And then I took this is a square vellum doily, and then I just cut it in half. And I am going to just stick that right under there just to give it some more flair and dimension. And that adhesive should stick it down. Now with the leaf itself, what I'm going to do is take dimensionals and put those on the back of this. And yes, there is a back and a front. You'll be able to see it when you cut it out. And I'm going to pop this up right inside of where I die cut it out to give it more flair. That's my new word I like to use. Then I took a piece of old olive cardstock and I just added it right here like that. And then I took my old olive ink and the sentiment from the Love of Leaves stamp set, I thought of you today. I took that one. And I'm just going to stamp that on here. And I will adhere that just like that. And I'm lined up the sentiment with the edge here of the Designer Series paper. Then I'm going to just top it off with some bling. I'm going to use the Gilded Gems, just different sizes. On the bottom part here, I'll use the biggest one just to give it some flair. Ignore my fingerprints. They're always boo-boos. The ones that I make on camera always end up being the boo-boos. I'll use the next size right there. Whoops. A little size up there, and then I'll use the medium one up there at the top. And that's all there is to it. So this is a great way to use dies to create different dimensions, and especially the stitched leaves, because there are just so many options. Here is here's the one I showed you, at the beginning when I showed you. So this is what the negative would look like with the stitching, and then this is what the leaf looks like if you don't use the center part. So I just used this, and you can cut out just a plain leaf, or you can use the coordinating stamp set and cut those out like I did on the cards for the card class in the mail. It was fun and it was easy. I think I am going to change the name of my blog to Fun and Easy Cards with Charlene, because that's what they all are. So do you like that? Did you like the stitch dies? There are, like, we've used the triangle stitched dies before, but they don't have like the little insert like the leaves do. But if you remember from last year, the poinsettia dies had that. And we're going to be making some projects coming up in the next few weeks. Some holiday cards, Christmas cards. I cannot believe it's already that time. Oh well. Anyway, I hope you liked this. If you did, please leave a comment. Isn't it like, it's amazing. These colors are fantastic. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Have fun playing with your dies and your die cut machine, and send me some pictures of the things that you make, because I really love to see them. And I'll see you guys back here next week.